What's up guys? Today wanted to work on a video. This thing, after I took it to a drift event, it was idling really high. Thought it was a vacuum leak and I couldn't find anything online saying about this specific problem. Basically what it was doing is it was idling at like 2000 RPM or so. I could blip the throttle and get it to come down and it would idle at 750 and hold it steady. There was no surging, nothing going on. If I was driving and I would come to a stop, I would look down and I'd be idling high. So basically I went through and I checked all my vacuum lines and anything like that because I was thinking maybe it's just sucking in air, but it wasn't surging at all. It was just a weird issue. Come to find out, I finally went ahead and just did a quick little unplug of a sensor or a unit. What it is this is my idle air control valve and here's the plug for it. What I did is I got to operating temperature and then I unplugged the plug and it dropped my idle down to 750 and it was steady. So basically there's some gunk or something in there keeping the valve from closing or whatever, but it seems to be operative, so hopefully just cleaning it will fix it and it's not anything electrical. It doesn't seem to be. This is an idle air control valve for Rb25 Neo, and the only thing you need is this gasket right here. And this is different than the Rb25 series 1 and 2. Theirs is like a 3-bolt, so make sure you get the right idle air control valve. That was my issue on this. If you have like surging and a couple other issues, it could be your idle air control valve. Alright, so it's pretty simple to remove, actually easier than I thought. There's a little bit of carbon buildup, but nothing seems to be crazy. Nothing seems like it's got issues. So I'm just gonna use throttle body cleaner, spray it out. I like to use the straw when I need some pressure on it. Hopefully knock something loose. So I got this bucket here. This is what I usually clean stuff out with. I'm gonna go ahead and try and keep the electrical piece out of there. We can clean that up a little bit. That's your idle set screw. I think I might take the solenoid off too. Ooh. So, tiny spring that goes over this piece here. I'm gonna spray in there, try and get it clean. Whoa. Looks like everything's coming apart, right? Alright, so this goes in there. I'm gonna clean this off too. It looked like the spring goes in there like that, so spray off this too. So the bullet side goes up. The skinny shaft is gonna go down in there. Whoop. It's gonna drop in there. You can see it down in here now. And then the spring just goes right there on top, and the wires go up away from the flange. In this part you just got to be a little careful. There, and then it went on. Now I'm going to tighten that down and I'll put my idle set screw back in and we're good to go. I just got to clean off the flange on the engine and then I'll put this gasket on. Alright, so that was pretty easy. It wasn't too bad. I don't know what kind of space you're working with. since mine is an engine swap, but I had quite a bit of space and I was able to get a little socket and ratcheting wrench on it. Gasket came off pretty good. And then all the hose clamps. I recommend putting this big hose clamp on and clamping it before you bolt it on. Other than that, everything went real smooth. This took me about an hour to do. Pretty simple thing. A lot of people say it's pretty difficult to do in the car. Like I said, it's an engine swap on a S13, so it might make it easier to do. Let's go ahead and start this and see if it's if the idle comes down. I set the screw. I don't know if I set it in far enough. Also, there is a reset your solenoid test you can do. I think you leave them unplugged and you get it idling to operating temperature, and then you plug it in, something like that. Also, you adjust your TPS before you plug in your solenoid for your idle air control valve. So I got the battery on a charger. Let's see if it'll start. It started when it was 10 degrees, so. So that's good news. It was idling high. I unplugged it, it dropped idle. I set the adjustment screw and I plugged it back in. Now it seems to be idling better. It's still plugged in. I shut off the car and I'm gonna restart it and hopefully it comes down and idle. Well, looks like that didn't fix it. I think it's a solenoid issue. When I unplug the solenoid, it idles perfect, and I can adjust the idle with the set screw. So it seems like the body doesn't have any issues. It might be just the solenoid. That's it for today, guys. How to clean your IACV. Hopefully it works for you guys. I will keep you updated on what ends up fixing it. I'll keep, throwing parts at it, hopefully get it fixed. What up, guys? We're back here. I got a TPS. There's the part number, Nissan. I could not find a Neo Stagia Rb25 or R34 TPS like this one has. So I went ahead. This is what they use in the Series 2, I believe, TPS. And the top one is a idle switch, which I'm not going to use, and the bottom one is the actual TPS. So I'm gonna hook this up. This is brand new, looks good. I'm gonna hook this up, hopefully this works, and this will fix our idle problem. I've got a big mess on the S10, got everything apart here. We'll be getting back on that after we do a junkyard build. All right, so I got my old sensor here, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. I'm gonna have to do it one wire at a time, that way I know. And then I'm gonna need a plug for this. I got this wired up, plugged in, and that way I can follow how this one is. Looks like the wires are the same color, which is good. So that's done. I might not have enough length now because it's pretty short, but the other wire comes up pretty far, so we'll hopefully get lucky there. We're gonna check voltage, DC, and that's how you test your TPS. There's also a way you want to test your ohms to make sure your switch is good, but since it's a new switch, hopefully it is good. So we'll skip that for now. Take our red one and shoot our red wire, because that's where our voltage should be coming from. All right, guys, wire nuts came out. You know it's bad when I bring out the wire nuts. It turns out that when I rewired my TPS, my old TPS, because I was having issues with it. This seems to be good. I tested this internally. I tested that one internally. Everything was good. But what happened is I switched the signal wire and the ground wire, and so it just was not good. Hopefully I didn't fry anything internally. Everything seems to be fine. I started the car before and it was just idling high. So the plan is I'm going to finish installing these because I still have the wire nuts, wire caps. Sorry you guys didn't get to see it. I was like deep in here. I pulled up the wiring diagram. I was following wires. I even pulled out the ECU and I was shooting pins on that to figure out what was going on. And finally, I think we're good. I don't know how I swapped the wires because I thought I remember cutting them one at a time. Maybe I didn't, and I don't know. I don't know how it happened. Regardless, let's finish this up. So now all that's left is going and resetting the TPS. I think I need to warm the car up to operating temperature, and then I can plug the TPS back in. So I'm gonna unplug it right now. TPS did not fix it. It helped a little bit where I just gotta slightly rev it and it comes back down to idle. But if I barely touch the throttle, it'll just woo and it raises up. I think it might be the spring in the IACV, the idle air control valve. So once it's cool, I'm gonna take the spring back out and try and stretch it and see if that works. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. When I would squeeze the hose that goes to the idle air control valve, if I would just squeeze it, the idle would drop back down. I can hear the air coming through and the idle would drop back down to normal idle. So it seems like air is just getting past the idle air control valve. It's kind of crazy to me because it's super clean in there, but it must just be that spring not pushing down, or the solenoid itself is not pushing down. But that doesn't make sense either, because as soon as I unplug the solenoid, idle goes back to normal. All right, guys, found out the issue. I've been doing a lot of troubleshooting. The issue, what it ended up being, was the spring that is in the solenoid was just worn down. I tried to stretch this out, but it just did not work very well. So what I did is I had a couple ballpoint pins, well, clicky pins, right? And then took the spring and I put the one that fit the size best. The other one was longer too, probably in between this one and that one, but this one was just way too long, I think. So I put the other one in, and when I was putting the cylinder on, I could feel the spring pushing back. So now it idles. Idles good. So I'm gonna start it up and you guys can see how it stays idling, no problem. So we got it idling good. I'll show you, I'll slightly touch the throttle body and it'll come up and it'll come back down to idle, which is the issue I was having when it come back down. So you can see, I got it. It's running good. Idling pretty steady, and it's coming back down to idle. So, waste a lot of money on TPS. I have a solenoid coming from a Sentra that I was just gonna swap the solenoid head off, but I ended up fixing it, so I'm not gonna have to use that part. But I have extra parts for the track if stuff goes bad. I gotta get some pins. I'm gonna redo the pin for the TPS. I'm gonna use actual Nissan connectors, and then same for the cold pack harness. But other than that, we fixed it. I hope this helps you guys if y'all have idling issues, and maybe it's slightly different so you can know it's not this issue. I don't know. I'm also gonna mess with the TPS, and then I'm gonna actually upgrade this here in the next 6 months or so. So there's no point in getting it tuned right now for idle response or for throttle response if I'm gonna be getting a new setup here soon, and then I'm gonna really need a tune. Yeah. So you can hear it kind of dip low and then come back to idle. And that might be the spring just being a little too strong, but it's kind of always done that. So if I need to, I'll increase the throttle, the idle just a little bit, but for right now it's idling good. You hear it, it sounds great. I'm happy. This has been since like October or September, whenever the drift event I went to. I guess the spring just gave out just from me romping on it, I guess. I don't know. So got that done. I got a couple fix-its I'm going to do, but for right now I can drive it and not have any issues. There's just preventative stuff I want to do on it, which I will do. I'm going to order the connectors and I'll probably repin them. We'll see. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I'll see you next time. I've been a bit to the